Had Sapphire for years, cannot find it as of 2013. I assume you meant 2023. Have the SP I kept for it. I'm hoping it's all tucked away in my junk. I want an authentic copy of Sapphire to trade up generations when I decide to, but I might just settle for rebroke cards for now. That's correct, actually. Something I didn't think of. If you buy reproduction, specifically Pokemon, I'm pretty sure you cannot trade between games, and especially between generations, like going from this to Pokemon Box on the GameCube through the link cable and all this other stuff. I don't think that's possible because it's not an official Nintendo authorized copy of the game. So buyer beware, obviously. I don't intend to trade Pokemon through generations, so I'm not really bothered, but obviously that is a problem that can happen if you buy reproduction or if you emulate or whatever. The only way to trade between generations is to buy an official copy of Pokemon Ruby, and that can be like $200. But that is the danger of buying reproduction cartridges. A lot of the time, you can't do things in the games that were intended to be done because something specifically in the Nintendo version of the cartridge has to be there for it to happen. And because they're reproduction cartridges, it's just a ROM chucked on a cartridge, so it's not going to be able to do the same thing that a Nintendo officially made cartridge can do. So that can be a problem. I can't really think of any other examples that aren't Pokemon games, but I think that's the biggest offender when it comes to things like that. But obviously you buy reproduction Pokemon cartridges because the actual games are like $6 million. Obviously I'm exaggerating. The only way if you want to trade is to buy an official game. And you know what, that's fair enough. That I'm not arguing that that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. You legally are not supposed to be selling reproduction cartridges anyway, so you shouldn't even have your hands on them, legally speaking. But whatever. So I think if you were to buy a reproduction cartridge, you need to know it may not work properly. It may not save. Mine save, both of my Pokemon ones, and even the bloody multi-cart saves, I think. I'm playing, but I'm pretty sure they do, because I think I've opened them a few times and still save files from whoever previously owned it. But 9 times out of 10, I don't think it's probably going to work entirely. Like that other comment said, it might just cut to a black screen. There are bad things that can happen because you buy a reproduction cartridge. Because you're not meant to buy reproduction cartridges. Obviously. Sometimes even, I know there was this like meme going around that Nintendo had some anti-piracy measures in games. But sometimes there are anti-pirating things in games. I think it was Spyro 3, one of the original PlayStation 1 Spyro games, has an anti-piracy thing that stops you from being able to fully complete the Spyro game. So if you were to pirate, even unknowingly pirate Spyro Year of the Dragon, you're done for. You can't complete the game. And you know what, that's fair. Obviously that's fair, because you need to buy Spyro 3's Year of the Dragon. I thought Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon, why can't you? I'm pretty sure it went something along the lines of, I think it just made it harder and harder for you to be able to physically play it. And even if you managed to get to the end, it would just crash and delete your save file, which is kind of funny. But even Game Dev Tycoon, one of the most popular anti-piracy things is only if you play a pirated version, people would start pirating the games that you make in Game Dev Tycoon. And then people would go online and complain about how their games are constantly being pirated in Game Dev Tycoon, and you would know that they pirated Game Dev Tycoon. This was done because the game developers of Game Dev Tycoon actually put out fake copies of the game onto pirating websites for people to get, only to discover, oh, I can't actually really play the game. Which is kind of funny, so you should probably, support the game. It's a really fun game, by the way. I love Game Dev Tycoon. I will be honest, when I first played the game, I did pirate it. I have bought it now. It's awesome. And that's, the anti-piracy thing in Game Dev Tycoon. A lot of other games, I think, probably have something along those lines that can detect whether you're pirating the game or if you're not. It's a whole thing. And even Even games like Portal 2, for instance. I also first played the game and it was pirated. I bought like 60 copies of it now, but when I first played it, because the level making mode hadn't actually been added to the game yet, because that didn't come at release. I couldn't play any custom levels that you couldn't just download online, which, you know, sucked. And that's why you have to buy the games, because then you can constantly get updates, and everything works fine. I think people have gotten around it now, because I think sometimes, like, I know people have pirated Among Us and you could play it online still without actually buying the game for a long time. I know, bringing up Among Us, what year is it? But still, it's very interesting the way that video game companies can stop piracy, but also people get around it. Anyway, on to the next comment. A fake Pokemon Ruby as taught by a true 40-year-old virgin. Well, thanks.